Thank you, Eric. Once you give somebody the microphone, I'm gonna wear my landowner hat, and then I'm gonna wear my consulting forestry hat. I started in forestry 37 years ago. It's only been in the last few years that I've been fortunate enough to acquire about 100 acres of timberland. That's part of my retirement plan. And I'm a part owner of a consulting forestry company. At one time I was a president of the corporation, so I'm one of those evil corporate executives that you hear about on TV sometimes. I've been married 34 years, I've got 4 kids, I've got 1 grandchild, I own a home, I pay taxes. As I mentioned, I purchased some land, it's part of my retirement plan. It seems like a safer bet to me than Wall Street. I certainly understand it. It's an aesthetic asset, but it still is an asset. In order for it to be a good investment, I need good forestry or good markets for forest products, and that's really 3 things. And it starts with chips, it moves up to roundwood like pulp or firewood, and then up to logs. Nobody on the landowner end makes a fortune with wood chips. However, if that particular market becomes very weak or goes extinct, that means there's fewer options for me as a landowner. And with fewer options, it becomes a poorer investment. Actually, for the Mike O'Learys or the sawmill owners, I'm the guy where it starts. And it's not really a trickle down, it's a trickle up. The value of a truckload of wood chips is about $30 to a landowner. Nobody gets rich off wood chips, but you can see as it trickles up the tremendous impact that it has in the state. So I provide Mike's raw material as the landowner. I need the logger to turn those wheels and get it to market. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. So now I'll put my consulting forestry hat on. As a forester, that biomass market is very important in managing timberland and trying to grow a quality product. As I mentioned, the stumpage for wood chips isn't great, but what that does is it reflects the supply that we have of that quality of material. I did a timber sale that was focused on biomass and logs on my own property about 10 years ago. 40 acres, 2,000 tons of wood chips, 40,000 board feet of logs. I don't think I could have done that timber sale without a chip market. However, I now have a very well-stocked stand of white pine. Hopefully I'm growing logs that Ed Witt will like someday. That's part of my retirement plan. So the silvicultural benefits are tremendous, and that has great economic impact too, because if we can produce high quality saw logs, we can have sawmills producing, high grade white pine, hardwood that's in demand all over the world. There are other benefits as well. I've been able to grow some pretty good deer as a result of this biomass harvest. So if we're interested in wildlife, as Fish and Game says people are, this is one of the ways that you can really manage habitat. The supply of biomass isn't an issue. There's an enormous supply out there. Our woods, if you look at Forest Service data, are grossly overstocked with what they call unacceptable growing stock. The industry itself, from the stump right to the delivery point, seems to have a very good track record, and it goes back for decades. I did my first biomass sale in 1982 or 3 in my hometown of Bennington. We've since been on that site again. I've seen others do lots of good biomass work. It's been a very, very good tool. The fact that the industry is dispersed around the state is helpful. In fact, it would be better if we had more markets in southwestern New Hampshire. That's kind of a black hole over there right now. Our company serves New England and eastern New York through 12 offices. The 2 offices that we have nearest to this facility, one in Bristol, mine in Bennington, in 2010, those 2 offices produced 30,000 tons of whole tree chips in conjunction with roundwood and saw logs of all species. Through January and February this year, we've produced about 10,000 tons of chips out of those same offices. Some of these are strict forestry thinning operations. Some are vista cuts for the opening or reopening views for private citizens. They've been done for on public sites as well. Some have been for wildlife activities, and we've even done a couple recently on municipal reservoirs where the State Department of Environmental Services has ordered the city, in this case it was Claremont, to remove trees along their dams at the toe of the slope on the reservoirs. We were able to do this through the commercial sale of timber, which put a product on wheels, sent it to a market, as opposed to generating a cost to the city and the taxpayers, it generated a modest amount of revenue. This is a domestic fuel supply. We're not having to buy it from people who don't like us, from cartels far around the world. The half-life of wood chips is not an issue. These sites where it's harvested or where the energy produced will not glow in the dark if there's a disaster. You've heard about the jobs that it creates, and it seems like we need to figure out a way to take care of New Hampshire first. Loss of the biomass market would certainly make the management of our timberland much more difficult. If the industry goes extinct in one way or another, there will be a cost to bear, and people will be at the town hall looking for a welfare payment so that they can get a tank of oil. There'll be demands for state services that don't currently exist. So if it goes away, there will be a cost that will be paid in one form or another. It also, the existence of this market also seems to play into the goal that many towns have, that you see written up in their master plan, of maintaining the rural atmosphere. The more stable the forest products market is, the more, the easier it is for people to manage forest land, the greater return they can get for it. They're not apt to do rash or drastic things for it or try to sell it to someone else. Without this market, we've got fewer options, we've got fewer markets. I'm going to have fewer contractors as both a landowner and as a consulting forester. We're going to have greater instability in our industry. There's a big downside to it. So I think we need to put our heads together and see if we can't figure out a way to help the industry over a rough spot and see if we can get over this hurdle and continue to responsibly produce chips. Again, it's a renewable domestic fuel. It creates a lot of good jobs in the state. They're spread all over the state. I see a lot of familiar faces in here, people that I'm currently working with or have worked with over the years. And you know, we all pay taxes, register vehicles, try to raise kids, coach baseball teams, those sorts of things. Thank you, Eric.